So what exactly are IVs, and do they still matter today? Hey guys, what is going on? Sir Squire here with another Pokemon Sun and Moon competitive battling tutorial for you guys. If you guys are enjoying this series so far, please be sure to leave a thumbs up down below. If we hit that goal, I'll be sure to keep these coming out consistently for you guys. I really do appreciate it. So, today's topic is on IVs, and I do just want to preface before we get into this topic that this is a guide for beginners and for people that are getting back into the metagame as a refresher, and as a resource guide for anyone that just wants to learn about different aspects of the game. If you are a vet, if you know all this stuff already, that's awesome. If there's something that you want to add to what I'm talking about, please feel free to leave it in the comment section. Also, feel free to answer any questions that any newer players might have, because that's how we build a stronger community. So I really do appreciate the support from new and older players, and let's get started into IVs here. So IVs, very much like natures, are things on your Pokemon that you can't manipulate. They are just what they are, and that's it. It's like a fingerprint. And the fingerprint is seen very similar to base stats. We talked about that a few episodes ago, where we talked about how some Pokemon are inherently bad in some stats and good in others. And you can't change their base stats. You can change their EVs by training and manipulating them against certain Pokemon, but you can't manipulate their IVs. Their IVs are what they are from birth. How you can manipulate IVs is by breeding. And let me just say that IVs now and then are still the same idea. IVs are a number that is 0 through 31 that you cannot see. It's an invisible number that is in every single one of their main stats. So HP, attack, defense, special defense, and speed. There's a 0 through 31 in all of those stats. And obviously 0 means the worst, 31 is the best. And what that does is it indicates the growth rate of your Pokemon. So if you have a 0 in attack, that Pokemon will have very slow growth rate in attack. Even if you EV train it in attack, even if it has a great attacking nature, it'll still grow slowly, because its IVs are bad. The reason this is in the game in the first place is because Pokemon wanted a way to diversify Pokemon. They wanted just more diversity in the world. You know what I'm saying? They wanted you to come across two Pikachu, and they both could have the same nature, and they could have very similar spreads, but one could still hit slightly harder than the other, but the other one could be just a little bit faster. And it's just a way to really immerse yourself into the world and realize that there's just so much that is different here. But the problem with that is that in the competitive aspect of things, it means a lot of things have to line up correctly, which is why when you talk to competitive players about their teams, it's very specific, because there's so much at work going on to make a Pokemon competitive that you need to make sure that it all lines up. Because, and this is the key, you don't need to worry about IVs. When I first started competitive, I didn't worry about them, just because they're so hard to manipulate. But if someone with perfect IVs comes along, you're gonna lose, because a hit that should kill them might not kill them if you don't have enough special attack or attack IVs. That's a very key, important topic. Now, let me just start by saying that IVs, perfect IVs, don't matter as much anymore. So if you're starting to already feel that anxiety, like, oh, I don't want to deal with IVs, well, good news, because IVs can be manipulated now, but not in the way that EVs can be. IVs can be maxed out for every stat, which is what you want. Unlike EVs, IVs can just be maxed out to 31 in every stat. There's no cap. And you want that. And you could do that through hyper training in Pokemon Sun and Moon. Now, the thing is, your IVs themselves stay the number that they are. You understand what I'm saying? Like, the IVs will still stay. Like, if you have 14 in attack, you won't actually change that number to 31. You will just make your attack stat grow like it had a 31. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely different because your IVs stay the same. And you might ask the next question, well, if you can make them grow like a 31, why do you care? And that's very true. Why do you care? And there's only one reason to care, at least one reason that I know of. If you think of any other reasons to care, or any contradictions to what I'm saying, let me know. Because Sun and Moon is still very new, and I could be very wrong about this. But the only thing you need to care about with IVs is hidden power. because hidden power works on depending on what zeros you have in certain things. So you want like 31s and 30s in certain stats to make sure that you have a certain hidden power you want. And certain Pokemon run very well with a good hidden power, like Magnezone runs hidden power Fire because its ability is Magnet Pull, right? So that's definitely something to look out for. I could do an episode on abilities, but I feel like it's such a case-by-case basis with abilities that it seems a little ridiculous to me. So it's definitely something that I would consider looking into, though, is maxing out your IVs, and then if your Pokemon needs a hidden power, then you might have to do some breeding for those IVs. So speaking of which, let's get into that. So IVs can be manipulated through breeding. They can be manipulated using the Destiny Knot, which is an item that you get during the game, and the person who's holding the Destiny Knot gets to pass down certain IVs to the child. So the best way to do this is with Dittos, especially in X and Y. When January comes around, you'll have the opportunity to transfer anything over from X and Y onward. The best thing you can do if you want to breed perfect Pokemon or flawless Pokemon, and there's a difference. The difference between flawless Pokemon and perfect Pokemon is perfect Pokemon has all 31 IVs. A flawless Pokemon has 31 IVs in the stats that matter. So let's go back to our friend Jolteon, right? If you got a Jolteon with all 31 IVs, it would be perfect. If you had a Jolteon with 31 IVs in HP, special attack, special defense, and speed, that would be considered flawless because it's not going to use its attack or defense stats at all. Special defense too is on the fence, but it's still pretty decent, so you might want to try to get good IVs in that. But my point being is that that's the difference. So you could be a stickler and try to breed for all 31s, but really if you're breeding for competitive Pokemon, you just need 31s in the stats that matter, unless you're breeding for hidden power. Then that's a whole different thing that we'll get into at some other point. But that's basically the idea here, is you want to get Dittos from X and Y. And the reason why X and Y is because of Friend Safari. If you find a Friend Safari that has Dittos in it, that's going to save you so much time. Like, it's pretty much just going to make this really easy. Because what you can do is you could find Dittos with perfect IVs in certain stats. Because if you didn't know this, in the Friend Safari, there's 2 perfect stats on every Pokemon in there. So you can find Ditto with perfect HP and attack, and find another Ditto with perfect speed and special defense, and then find another Ditto with perfect defense and special attack. And then guess what? You have everything you need to breed a perfect Pokemon. The way that you do this, I will stress this again, is simply breeding down. The way that you check is through the judge. If you ever saw, like in a battle or something, instead of evaluations by judge, that's IV checking. That's what that is. They're checking to see if your IVs are good. You can find the judge. He'll say things like your attack is powerful, second to none, things like that. And it tells you what the stats that he points out to you are the stats that are perfect. So that's the way that you can figure out, oh, I have IVs in this, and this, because he'll tell you, oh, attack, HP, special attack, and you'll be like, okay, that's 3. Now I need 3 more. The way that you do that is you'll breed those stats down onto a Pokemon, right? And then after you get that Pokemon, you will take the Pokemon that you just got and breed it with another Ditto that has the IVs that it's missing. So it's a lot of trial and error, and it takes a lot of work. So that's how you breed. That's a mechanic that Pokemon has systematically eliminated in Sun and Moon. That is something you do not need to know how to do, but if you're curious, that's basically the gist of IV breeding. It's very, very long, very painstaking, and makes competitive Pokemon a very tasky thing. That's one of the big reasons that people don't want to get into competitive Pokemon, is because to actually get the Pokemon that you need with the right nature and the IVs before you even EV train it is a whole process in itself. Luckily, like I said, Pokemon made it super easy in Sun and Moon to maximize your IVs and make it really easy just to get to that next stage. Because let me tell you this, right here is one of the hardest things to get, especially for very serious competitive battles. Getting a Pokemon with all 31 IVs in each stat, or at least representing all 31 of those IVs, is something wonderful to have at your disposal. So if you have any more questions about what IVs are or what you need to do with them, please let me know. I'm sure there will be a hyper training tutorial out somewhere. I do not have a capture card, so I can't do a hyper training tutorial, but if I find a really good one, I'll definitely link it in the description or in the comment section so you guys can go and check out how to actually hyper train if you haven't figured that out already. And yeah, so that's it, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Definitely make sure you leave a thumbs up, definitely comment and subscribe if you're new, because we're uploading these very consistently. And I'm Sir Squire, and I will see you next time.